morning, students. Continue in chapter 4 of, in which we are studying what is Newton's law of motion. And we have a study about Newton's first law, that is the law of inertia. And in last lecture I explained you what is Newton's first law of inertia. And we can, for understanding, we can divide it into three parts, that is the inertia of rest, inertia of motion, inertia of direction. On the last lecture I explained you what is inertia actually and what is the inertia of rest. Yes, I explained the inertia of rest, and in this part of video I am going to explain you the inertia of motion and the inertia of direction. So first, okay, let's continue with the inertia. Inertia means the tendency, the property of a body due to which it resists any change in its state of rest or uniform motion. It means if it just continue moving with a constant speed, it will continue to move with that speed until we apply some force on it. So this property of body is called the inertia. And according to inertia of rest, if a body is rest, it will continue at rest until we apply some force on it. It means if we want to change its state of rest, we have to apply some force on it so that it can change the state of rest. So this property of a body due to which it resists any change, either if it is at rest, it will continue at rest, and it will in motion, it will continue in the uniform motion. So this property is called the inertia. And now the second part of this Newton's first law, that is law of inertia, inertia of motion. What is inertia of motion? Inertia of motion means if a body is moving with a constant speed, it will continue to be moved with that speed, not only speed, we can say the velocity, until we apply some force on it. So this is called the inertia of motion. You can also write the definition of inertia of motion. So according to inertia of motion, if the body is moving with a constant speed or velocity, it will continue to move with that velocity until we apply some force on it. So this is the inertia of motion. After writing the definition of inertia of motion, let's take some examples of motion. So for example, we are taking, suppose you are in your car and okay, we are again taking your school bus. Yeah, we are like this bus actually because we are missing these days. So this is your bus, school bus, horizon. And now suppose you are here sitting in a bus, okay? And a bus is moving now with a constant speed. And suddenly due to some problem, or there should be the speed breaker, or there should be suppose there is some animal in front of the bus, then the driver has to make brake on the bus. Then what will happen? You fall. If you don't know about it that the driver is going to brake the bus, then you will falls in you notice it that you falls in the forward direction. So why you falls in a forward direction? So this is the example of the inertia of motion. Actually, when you are moving in a bus, suppose you are sitting in a bus and the bus is moving, it means you are continue in motion with the bus. Okay? So this is your seat and you are here on this seat. So you are moving with the bus with a constant speed. Now what happens suddenly if driver apply brakes? Now since you don't know about the brakes, that the driver is going to apply the brakes on the bus. So what happens actually? Since your feet are in the contact with the bus, it will come to the rest with the bus. Okay, your feet which are in contact with the bus will come to the rest. Okay, with the bus, and your upper body due to inertia of motion, due to this tendency that the body is continue to move in a particular direction. So due to this tendency, due to the inertia of motion, your upper body is continuing to move in that direction. Suppose you are moving forward, so your upper body is continuing to move in a forward direction. Now what will happen? Since your feet come to the rest with the bus and your upper body is continue in the motion, so you falls in the forward direction. So this is the one of the application of why we falls in forward direction when a driver suddenly applies brake on a bus. So you can write the application of inertia motion. So one of the application is, the question is, you can write the application of inertia motion, you can also write the give reason type of questions. So the question is, why we falls in a forward direction when we are there in a bus, in a moving bus, and the driver apply brake on the bus. So this is one of the application, and you have to write the answer. Again, you can rewind the video, and you can also see what I explained you about this application. Now the second one, I'm going to explain you one more example is, okay, the luggage are usually tied with a rope on the bus of the roof. So you have seen that in a taxi or in a buses. So usually when we keep some luggage on the bus or on the car, we have to tie it with any rope or any other material. So why we tie this objects, or why we tie this luggage? Actually, what happens when a buses or a car is moving in a particular direction? So along with this bus, these luggage are also moving in that direction. Now what happens if suddenly this car driver or the bus driver has to apply some force, has to apply a brake on the car or the bus? So what will happen? Since this luggage are continue in motion with the car, and due to inertia of motion, we can say that the car come to the rest by applying the brakes, but these luggage due to inertia of motion continue the motion, so that they can falls in forward direction. It can also happen if we start a bus or a car suddenly, then what will happen? The luggage of the car will be falls in the backward direction. So this is the reason why we tied luggage on the car or the bus. So you can write the application again, or again you can say that give reason of this question, that a luggage is usually tied with the rope on the bus of the roof. So these are the examples of inertia of motion. There can be more examples of inertia of motion, and you can answer me what different examples you have seen in your daily life. So again, I am going to explain you the inertia of direction. So I told you that the inertia, we have divided the inertia of law of inertia into the three parts, that is inertia of rest, inertia of motion, and inertia of direction. So actually all these are included in the law of inertia. So according to inertia of direction, if a body is moving in a particular direction, it will continue to move in that direction until we apply some force on it. So this is called the inertia of direction. It means for changing the direction of the body, we have to apply some force on it. Now let's take some examples. So again, you will write the definition, or you can write the law of inertia of direction. So what is this law? According to this law, if a body is moving in a particular direction, it will continue to move in that direction until we apply some force on it. So now few examples or few applications of the inertia of direction. You have seen, suppose you are in a car or in a bus, and a car or a bus take a sharp turn. Okay, you are not aware about it, and suddenly a car have to take a sharp turn. Then what will happen? If you are here, you will falls in the opposite direction of the turn. Suppose the car is turning in this direction, you will falls in the opposite direction. So why this happened? Why it falls in the opposite direction when the cars take a sharp turn? So the same explanation is here. We will say that when you are in a bus or in a car, and a car is moving in a straight line, so you are moving with a car or a bus in a straight line. If a car or a bus take a sharp turn, then your foot, since their foot are in contact with the bus or the car, it will take a turn with the bus. But what's about your upper body? Due to the inertia of direction, your upper body will continue to the moving in the same straight line. So what will happen? the car will take a turn on the road, but since your upper body is moving again in a straight direction, so you will fall in a opposite direction of the turn. So this is the explanation, or we can say this is the application of the Rishabh direction. And again, if you have some more examples in your mind, or some more applications in your mind, you can explain me. So this was all about the inertia, law of inertia. It was the Newton's first law. Okay. Now I am going to explain you Newton's second law. This is a very important law. Before going to the Newton's second law, I will have to explain you the momentum. Okay. Just I am going to explain you the momentum. Momentum, actually we represent the momentum by the symbol P with the arrow. Okay. What is the meaning of this arrow? It means it is vector quantity. Now what is a momentum? Actually a body which have a mass and having some velocity will have a momentum. Momentum, we can say that momentum is a product of the mass and the velocity of a body. So say if a body have some mass and have some velocity, we will say it has some momentum. So momentum is a combined term for both mass and the velocity. So momentum is represented by the symbol small p. We can write the definition of momentum like this. The product of the mass and velocity of a body is called the momentum of the body. Okay. So again, you can pause video for writing the definition of momentum. We represent the momentum by the symbol small p or p. Suppose we are taking mass, we are representing the mass with the symbol m and velocity with the symbol v. So we will say that the momentum is equal to m into v. Where we know that mass is not the vector quantity but velocity is the vector quantity, that's why momentum is a vector quantity. So momentum is the product of the mass and the velocity. And if we represent the mass of the body by m and the velocity of the body by v, so we can say momentum is equal to mass into v. We can also show the arrow here like this. So this is the momentum. And again, if a body has some mass and has some velocity, it means it has some momentum. So every object which has a mass and has a velocity will have the momentum. Momentum, what should be the SI unit of momentum? So according to this formula, we can say that the mass and the velocity SI unit is kilogram. And the velocity has SI unit of meter per second. So by combining these units, we can say that the SI unit of momentum is kilogram meter per second. Or we also show it like this, kilogram meter second is to power minus 100. It means same. So this is the momentum. So if you are going to the second law, Newton's second law, first we should know what is the momentum. Okay. Now I am going to explain the Newton's second law. So Newton's second law is really so important. Just understand it, try to understand it. If in case of problem, if you have any problem in understanding the Newton's second law, please ask me in a Zoom class. So now this is Newton's second law. Again, we have some applications of Newton's second law. Again, Newton's third law. We have some applications of Newton's third law. Most of the things we observe in our daily life, actually we can explain these things by using the laws of physics. So, okay, now I'm going to explain the Newton's second law. I explained you what is momentum. Momentum is the product of the mass and the velocity. So now Newton's second law. According to Newton's second law, if you are going to say the law, I'm going to explain you the law. What is the law actually? Suppose this is a body having the mass m. Okay, and suppose it is moving with some velocity that is u. If you want to change the velocity of a body, so now we know that according to Newton's first law, if you want to change the velocity, we have to apply some force on it. Because due to inertia, it will not itself change its velocity. We have to apply some force on it. So, suppose this body having the mass m and is moving with initial velocity of u, and now we want to change the velocity, so we apply some force on it. We apply some force, that is F. And by applying this force, after t time, after t seconds, we can say its velocity changes to v. So by applying force, but what actually you do? You change its velocity. Now, we can combine the terms, that is the mass and the velocity. So we can say the momentum. Why we take the momentum? You know, if we increase the mass of a body, we know that more force we have to apply. Sorry, let me explain you one more time. Suppose this is a body having the mass, a very small mass, and this is another body having the large mass. So in which case you have to apply large force? Obviously in this case, which body which having the large mass. Okay. Now suppose you want to change the velocity in greater quantity. If you want to change the velocity in greater quantity, you have to apply more force on it. It means the force divided, the forces depends on both the things, that is the mass and the change in velocity. So by combining these two terms, we can say the momentum of the body. It means the force applied on a body is directly depends on the momentum of the body. If you want to change the momentum of the body, you have to apply the force on it. So by combining the mass and the velocity, we take a single term, that is the momentum. So we can say this body has some momentum. Initially it has some momentum, that is unknown to you. And when we apply force on it, its velocity changes, and again its momentum will changes. So what will be its new momentum now? It will be unknown to v. This was the initial momentum and this was the final momentum. Now just imagine the force, how it depends on the change in momentum. If you want to change a large change in momentum, what you have to do? You have to apply more force. If you want to change the less change in momentum, you have to apply some less force, it means. If you want to change the large change in momentum, you have to apply large force. Or in case if you want to change the less momentum, you will have to apply only the less force. It means the forces depend on the rate of change of momentum. How much momentum you are going to change? It directly proportional to the rate, the change of momentum, not the rate only. I'm not going to explain the rate again. I'm going to tell you only the change in momentum. So it means the change in momentum depended on the force. If you want to large change in momentum, you have to apply large force. Or if you want to change the less change in momentum, then you have to apply less force. It means change in momentum is directly proportional to the force applied. Okay, is it clear? I think it should be clear. Now, what about the time? Now, I am going to explain you about the time. Now, just imagine. Suppose you are going to change your velocity and you are taking, let's take one example. This is your bicycle. Students are always there in their bicycles. Yeah, this is your bicycle. And you are moving and you have some mass like 40 kg can be, and you are moving with a velocity of 2 meter per second. And now you want to change your velocity up to the 20 meter per second. Now just think about it. If you want to change the velocity in less interval of time, suppose you want to change the velocity in 1 second only. Okay, this is the one option you have. Now the second option is you can change the velocity in large interval of time, that is you have the 10 seconds to change your velocity. Now in both cases, here in this case, the change in momentum is same. Since you have the same mass, you are going to change the same velocity. But in the first case, the time is less for changing the momentum. And in the second case, you have the large time to change your momentum. So in which case you have to apply large force? Obviously in this case where you have only the small time to change the momentum. So it means the force is not directly, we can say the inversely proportional to the time. By increasing the time, we can decrease the force, and by decreasing the time, we can increase the force. It means we can say that force is inversely proportional to the time taken. So actually this is the Newton's second law. This is the Newton's second law. I think it should be clear, or in case of doubt you can ask me in your Zoom class. So now I am going to tell you the Newton's second law. So again, first you will write the Newton's second law. According to Newton's second law, please write on the law. So please write out the law. The rate of change of momentum. Now first, understand what is the meaning of the rate of. Rate of means when we divide some bodies, some values with the time, we say write it rate of. Like in acceleration, we write down the rate of change of velocity. So same as the rate of means if we divided some physical quantities by time, we say like it the rate of. So the Newton's second law is the rate of change of momentum is directly proportional to the force applied in the direction of motion of a body. So please write down the definition of Newton's second law. We can say what is the Newton's second law, not the definition. This is the Newton's second law. The rate of change of momentum is directly proportional to the force applied. The force should be applied in the direction of motion of a body. So this is the Newton's second law. Now I am going to explain you the law. This two-line law is not all about the law. Again, with this law, you have to write all the derivation of this law. And the derivation of this law is really important. Now, after writing the two lines law, we will write let a body has mass m. Okay, I explained it with example. Again, I am going to explain you. I am going to draw the figure of this example. This is a body having the mass m and it is moving with the velocity of u. And by applying some force F, after t times, its velocity changes to v. Okay. So again, I am writing this statement, these things in the times of the statement. Let a body has the mass m, is moving with initial velocity of u. So initially body was moving with the initial velocity of u. After apply force F. You know, if you want to change the velocity, you have to apply force on it due to the inertia. So after apply force F, its velocity changes equally. Yeah, we can say uniformly. If the velocity changes uniformly, so we can say it's had a uniform acceleration. Or we can say that deceleration, or it can be acceleration. If the velocity is going to be changes, it is increases, we will say acceleration. Or if velocity is going to be decreases, we will say deceleration. So again, after applying force F, its velocity changes uniformly. Velocity changes uniformly with acceleration A, and after applying the force F, its velocity changes uniformly with acceleration A. After t time, its velocity changes to v. So again, in this statement we have write all about all the physical quantities we are using here, or the physical symbols we are using here. So first we have to explain all these symbols about. We have to write what is u, v, m, t or f. So first we will write this statement like this. Now you will say according to Newton's second law, what you have write in the law? You have written in the law that the rate of change of momentum. What is the meaning of this? So you will write it initial velocity of a body is equal to, we know it is u. So what should be the initial momentum? Initial momentum of the body will be m into u. Okay. Since it has a mass m and has an initial velocity u, so it will have the initial momentum of m into u. And the final momentum, we know its final velocity v. So what should be the final momentum of the body? It will be m into v. Okay. So again, according to Newton's second law, we know that the rate of change of momentum. So I have to rub code. So we can say what is the change in momentum now. How much momentum is changes? Change in momentum. Change in momentum will be mv minus mu. Initially it was mu, finally it was mv. It means initially it was mu and finally it was mv. So it will be change in momentum mv minus mu. We can take m as a common, v minus u. So I am writing the rate of change of momentum. Rate of change of momentum. I explained you that what is the meaning of the rate of? It means you are dividing some physical quantity by the time t. So you will say m v minus u upon t. So this is the rate of change of momentum. Now according to Newton's second law, we know that the rate of change of momentum is directly proportional to the force applied. So we will write here, according to Newton's second law, we can say that F is directly proportional to the m v minus u upon t. The rate of change of momentum is directly proportional to the force applied. Now, in place of v minus u upon t, what is this v minus u upon t? You should know it is acceleration, yes. So we will say F directly proportional to m into a, where a is equal to v minus u upon t, and we have already explained that a is the acceleration of a body. So now we have to remove this direct proportional sign and we have to put some constant for removing this sign. So we are putting a constant k here. K is k into m into a. So here we will write where we will write it like this, where k is a constant and in SI unit the value of k is 0. So in SI unit we can say k is equal to, sorry, not the 0, it is 1. In SI unit the value of k is 1. So we can write in place of k we can write 1. So what should be the value of F here? F will be m into a. So this is complete Newton's second law. From that law you have to write this derivation up to the F is equal to m into a. This is all about the Newton's second law. It's a really important and we have a lot of applications about the Newton's second law. So I will explain you the applications of Newton's second law. So it's a really important law in case of any doubt. If you are not going to understand what I have explained you in this law, so you can ask me in the Zoom class. So okay, I will explain you the applications of Newton's second law in next video. Okay, bye.